Hi, I'm Janet Devlin, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire.
All right, how's it going out there, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new edition of Interview Under Fire. This is your beloved host, Sunny here. And this time, today, I'm along with a very special guest, a Northern Irish singer-songwriter, author, and an advocate for positive mental health, Janet Devlin. Quite the honor. Thank you so much for joining our IUF series today. Now, Janet, this has been quite the busy, 18, 19 months for you from the release of your third studio album, Confessional, to the follow-up EP, Versions of Better, your debut autobiography, My Confessional, and then which is a companion to that album, and finally your new single, Place Called Home, which is the first single from your forthcoming EP. It's Not That Deep. Did I forget anything there? It's like,
no, that's it for the past 18 months. Yeah.
And first things first, I just want to applaud you, Janet, on getting this far into your storied career and all the well-deserved recognition your music and your book have been getting so far. Shout out to the other publications like Musical MH, Hot Press, Irish Times, who have praised your work. There's just plenty of amazing things to unravel about who you are and what exciting things you have coming up. But before we get to that and beyond, I know I'm
just
throwing
so
a lot.
much smoke. There's a lot of smoke being blown up me there, and I'm just like,
and well deserved. You're taking a walk in the park, and metaphorically and physically. Now that there seems to finally kind of be a light at the end of this long tunnel we've been in, I can't help but ask, how are you, obviously, and how has the last, let's say, 9 months? I would say 19 months. It's so much, but what's life in the UK right now? You're walking outside now, which probably you weren't able to do when all this started.
Outside. Yeah, exactly. Well, things have been pretty crazy lately because I'm on tour. This is my day off. So I'm able to just kick back and the sun's out. So it's like the perfect day off. It's been great. But it's been tough though, with the whole like lockdown, trying to live like a regular human being whilst there's government laws and stuff that you can't do everything that you want to do. It was tough, and I think it was tough for my mental health because of the fact that I'm an addict who was a bedroom drinker, being told to stay in their bedroom essentially. And that was a hard time. It was a hard time, but we made it through. We persevered, and now I'm on the other side of it, thank God. And just being able to tour my music around the country.
Yeah, and what I just listed on the introduction there, I mean, making the best of the situation it's an easier said than done process. I feel like I'm saying that a lot lately, and it's an important thing. But before we get to just so much about all that, I also want to mention, for anyone who doesn't know, you're from Gorton, Northern Ireland. Is that correct? Hopefully I'm not butchering it.
Gorton, yeah.
Gorton. See, there we go. Now you gotta correct me as we're getting into this.
It's because it's in Irish, because Gorton means little field. So
is it a small town where you're from, or is it?
That's a village. It's a village in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. And you've been at music for roughly 10 years, maybe even a little bit more than that. I do want to talk about kind of like your upbringing, being from a village, and like the music scene, like where you come from, because I know you grew up on bands like, I mean, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers, like all of us did, who that really inspired you. But what was the music scene like? How did you even get your foot in the door when it comes to that? If you could briefly, not like maybe step by step, but like briefly.
Yeah. I started off playing Irish music, so like Killy bands and stuff like that. Like I played in my first Killy band at the age of like 7 years old. Well, no, I played before I was 7. I think I joined the Killy band when I was 5, and I got my first solo at 7. And then I started playing fiddle because that was on Tim Whistle. So Tim Whistle was my start. I went into fiddle. My singing didn't start until I was like 15 years old, 14 or 15 years old, and that was because I started learning how to play drums. And I wanted to earn money for my drum kit. I wanted to be the drummer in an all-girl punk band, which is obviously going really well for me right now.
Love it.
I'm smashing that. But basically, I was so shy. I just wanted to be in the background, but like know that I'm a fundamental member of the band, basically. So literally, I started doing all these singing competitions, and it ended up in my friend buying me a video camera. and saying that I could only have the video camera if I posted videos to YouTube. So I started on YouTube. My video started doing really well. I sent a video into X Factor as an audition, and I just, everything's changed from there, basically.
And both of my brothers are drummers, by the way. I come from a family of musicians, and
Nice.
I don't know if you know if violin counts, but I grew up playing the violin because I know you have the
Yeah,
experience with the fiddle.
the
So
fiddle. Yeah.
yeah, and it's great to just see that, and I love that you mentioned YouTube because YouTube, like we didn't know what it was back in 2004 to 2006. It was like, oh, what is this? We can watch videos for free, and not only that, but since that day, you mentioned or that time in your life when you started YouTube, your fan base grew, which is another thing to see. And with your fan base, you mentioned how you just finished up, and I know we're fast forwarding through time now, but you just finished up touring the UK and Ireland, commemorating your album Confessional. Tell me about that, because leading up to stepping up onto that stage again, two things. What was the anticipation like, and what is it about performing live that Janet, that you love the most, or maybe even miss the most? Do you have a newfound appreciation now?
So I'm maybe like not the best person to ask about playing live, because I still get major stage fright. I still get quite panicky, and I've just gotten better at hiding it. So like, luckily the audience don't know I'm dying on the inside. But I do struggle. I still struggle a lot. And so I think the thing I enjoy about the performing live is kind of like almost the adrenaline high you get from doing it whilst you're doing it, which is kind of strange. But I think for me, performing live, mainly like the thing that I love the most about it isn't even necessarily the performing. It's actually the meeting of people. It's meeting everyone who wants to come out to the shows. It gives me a chance to properly say thank you, and thank you to someone's face, for the support and the fact that they've actually come all the way out to watch a gig, because that's surreal to me, as someone who basically lives on the internet, that people would join me when I ventured to the internet. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is amazing to see. And I know your subject is confession, right? I have a confession. Here's the thing. I'm doing these interviews with so many amazing people. I'm shy every single time I do an interview. It doesn't sound like it, right? But I do a good job like trying to hide it. I grew up being a shy person, and it's just, I relate to that so well. And when you said that, it's like, wow, okay. I feel like if you, that's a good thing, because if you didn't have that, I feel like you wouldn't care about your product as much. You wouldn't care about your craft as much. If you have that fear, you have that, not fear, I guess, just making sure you're doing a good job, making sure you're able to put yourself out there the best way you can, the best version of yourself. And I think it's a good thing. It shows that you care, Janet. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, like, I haven't been putting you on the spot already. I'm going to quote you here, and I don't know where I got this quote. So please let me know if I'm wrong, because you said,
I probably have.
believe it or not, you're holding my life in your hands. Now, I want to talk about this book because you are a big advocate for positive mental health, like I mentioned earlier. And it's something that you take to heart, Janet. You went through hell and back over the last 10 years and talked about your experiences from, self-discovery to self-sabotage, fighting those inner demons and addictions, which aren't easy subjects to discuss just out there in the open. And being a person myself, who also deals with mental health, knowing close peers of mine who also deal with it, is just an inspiration, seeing that what you've been doing and taking on something as tender and impactful just like this. And I want to translate this into your debut published book called My Confessional, your debut book. It's crazy to think about this, because I think about, when did this idea first come to the surface for you? Like when you decided to write down and melt out your thoughts in a different manner as opposed to songwriting. How did you know that this book was necessary? Loaded question, but just
loaded. But I know when it was. I was like 6 months sober, and I was gonna have to write it all down anyway, because like I am sober. I do AA and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things they make you do in AA is write down all the things that you did. And I was like, being the head that I have on me, it's like, well, I'm not just going to do that for that. I want to like make it into my art, shall we say. Like I want to use this experience, because it's what motivates me, obviously, is to make art and to create things. So I had to motivate myself to write out all these bad things in whatever way I could. And for me, that's like, how can I turn this into like another art project? And that was it. It was me just sitting down and writing out not only the bad things that I'd done through alcoholism, but the bad things that I've done to myself and to other people throughout my whole life. And I basically just documented the whole thing in a
Yeah.
book,
I
in the hopes that I can just put it behind me, you know?
so I would think, from pen to paper, it felt like a sense of closure for you now that you have sort of translated these experience and thoughts into a book, right?
Yeah, now that it's out there. But there was definitely a period of time where I was holding a copy of the book and no one else had read it, and it was just weird to
Yeah.
just sit there with all your secrets just printed in some pages
But
and for no one having read it yet.
and having said that, I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to just see all the reviews. I mean, people are it's inspiring. I mentioned this earlier. It is inspiring to see someone like you go through what you have and to see where you are now. It really shows how much work and dedication you put in yourself and to get to where you wanted to get. It's songwriting and then writing a book. What is the biggest, here's the thing. I feel like you knew this question was coming, like the biggest obstacle or difference you noticed from writing lyrics to writing a book. Like, did it make it easier knowing that, hey, I have an album, I can now write about it, or I have a book,
Uh,
you know?
I think what's the only real difference is like the book could be like edited. I would say like my per editor. There was times where I was giving him like 80,000 word chapters, and he's like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do with 80,000 words, Janet? And he would have to go in and condense it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was his job. Whereas when it comes to songwriting, I have to put my own big boy pants on and only try and write a good song, because no one's going to come into my song and be like, hey, you need to fix that. That's not good. You have to get that right like the first time around with a writer, or like on your own or whatever. So it's like a totally different experience, really. But like I find both I find both difficult. Like there's a lot of pressure sometimes when you're in a writing room to like write the best thing that you possibly can. And then also there was a lot of pressure when writing the book, that it was like, oh, this is the closest thing to the internal monologue that I have in my brain that people will ever get.
Yeah.
So it's terrifying.
Terrifying, but here you are with it. I also want to talk about, where can people or the listeners out there buy this book? And they go to your website?
Oh yeah.
I know Amazon has it.
Yeah, so Amazon has it because book shipping is quite expensive. So if people don't want to pay the shipping, if you have an Amazon Prime, you can get the shipping for free, which is amazing.
Which I do. And I did buy your book.
Yeah.
It's not here yet.
Oh,
I bought it
you.
earlier this week.
Oh,
it's Friday
damn.
here, so I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
I was gonna
so
hope I could show it during this interview, but it is what it is.
That's the best way, I think, for people to get it, because you don't have to pay for postage. But if you buy it, say on janetdevlin.com, which is obviously my website, they are signed, those ones. So
I wish I would have known that.
That's the difference. So it makes it, well, it's me trying to like compensate for the fact that the postage is expensive, because it is really expensive to post books for some reason. So,
and a very cool thing, if people are still aren't sure, please go check out the book reveal video that you do, where you read an excerpt from every chapter of my confessional. I love that you did that.
That was my lockdown project.
Was that difficult to do? It's like, what do I read from here? Like what?
Honestly,
one chapter, the next chapter.
Sometimes there are times where it feels like I have to babysit myself, or like be my own boss, where I'm like, right, Janet, today you have to sit down and go through the book, and every single chapter you're going to pick out a bit of each chapter that you think is the best part to read. Like you just manually have to go and do these things, and then film the whole thing, which also I'm notoriously bad at reading out loud. I'm awful.
You did great.
My brain goes faster than my mouth, or my mouth goes faster than my brain, and I always mess up. So the amount of takes it took to get those, ridiculous. So that's why it was like a lockdown project for me to get it done, because I'm just not good at reading out loud.
You knocked it out of the park with my confessional. Hopefully, if we could maybe even set the stage for you, going forward and writing future books. I know it was a lot to put to your thoughts on paper, but you did something unique here, and it's just a great companion to the album Confessional. Now we talk about everything, the music, right? We haven't even gotten to the music yet, because because my mind's racing right now. Place Called Home, which is from your forthcoming EP, It's Not That Deep. Do you have a specific release date set in stone yet, or no?
Not just yet.
Okay.
Not just yet.
And that's okay, because I want to mention all this now. Just sit back and just listen to what I have to say, because this is follow up to last year's Confessional, for people who don't know. Because before we get into the core of Place Called Home, Confessional, that was just an impressive addition to your catalog, Janet. You know, from the genres you've covered, ranging from pop to folk to Celtic, like everything else in between. It also really pays homage to your Irish heritage. And Confessional, good lord, like what an album! You know, songs like the title track to Saint of the Sinners, to Honest Men, to Sweet Sacred Friend, which is my favorite, to Better Now, which that was a music video for the ages. This album went on to get, you know, I think we're about a year removed from that album drop, and went on to get, you know, critical acclaim. You know, #6 in the indies charts, if I'm remembering correctly, #3 on the indie breakers chart, and it cracked the Billboard Top 100. I know I'm building this up like nobody's business.
Yeah,
but this is all such a big step for you. You know, knowing the success from Confessional, was there any sort of, you know, pressure you sensed at all when you sat down to write again for a whole new album, or even just to follow up again?
To follow up from Confessional.
Yeah, because now that you have an EP coming out.
Yeah, no, not at all. I've been doing like the first release now from the new EP is a song I wrote like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago. Like it's not a new song. It just never had a home.
Yeah.
And that's why I literally made the It's Not That Deep EP, for whenever people ask me like, why do these songs sound so different, or why are these things on the same record? And it's literally because it's not that deep. It's like, that's the whole point. It's not supposed to be serious. It just is what it is. And I feel like that was the best idea to go with after an album as serious as Confessional. Like, I'm in a not serious kind of mood at the moment, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm walking around with pink hair, you know, like I'm just in a it's not that deep kind of phase. So as for writing, like when I've been going into writing sessions, it's been like, right, do you want to write like a silly, goofy song that we can just write whatever comes first thing to our brain, or do you want to write a country song? Because I'm working on a country album at the moment. You know, it's honest, which is also not that deep, you know, whenever you work on country music, which is great. So it's probably been like the best way to write at the moment, where it's just all no pressure, you know.
Yeah, and I also want to mention Johnny Wright, because he was your he co-wrote the song with you, and he's known
Yeah.
for his work with Foxes and Fickle Friends. And I mentioned those genres you crossed and blended in with Confessional, and the new song here. You mentioned they had that driving with the roof down vibe, which,
Yeah.
and I mentioned the weather in Texas, which driving with the roof down is probably not the best idea considering how hot it gets.
No.
But you know, I got exactly that. You know, you had these vintage guitar and drums. It felt like a refreshing alternative and country vibe. And you mentioned the country, which adds another element to your compositions. So that was my question. Like, if it was intentional to go this particular direction this time around, now that you have that song, did that song help you decide, you know what, I have this song that I wrote a few years back, let's go this route, you know?
Not necessarily. I've always known since I got into the music industry that I was going to end up in country. It was always my like end goal. But like, the thing I like about country music is that, you know, no one has an age. You can be any age in country. You can,
That's
you
true.
know, it doesn't matter. You're ageless. Whereas I feel like with the pop music, you know, it's kind of like, not that you have a sell by date, but like, you know, it's a young people's game, I suppose, the whole pop music world. And I enjoyed my time in it. I enjoyed making all the pop music that I have made, but my end goal has always been country. So, you know, after Confessional, I'm just like, yeah, I think it's time now. Because I always said in my head, like at 25, I would go into country. But then lockdown happened. So
yeah, I feel like it's also a metaphor, like a place called home, like you found where you want to be now, you know?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
And I want to backtrack just for a bit, because I know we're talking about the new song, but you had a single which you made a music video about. I can't help but talk about this, Better Now.
Yes.
You had, I mean, that was like a dream come true for you, because it was shot in your hometown of Goshen.
Yeah, Goshen.
Yeah. Yes, Goshen. See, I got it. I'm close. Goshen. And then you also had it also had an element of horses, which symbolize, you know, reflection and escapism, power and grace. And you also had award-winning cinematographer, Sir France
Yeah,
Pego, and he's known for his work with Sleepy Hollow. I went to film school, so when I
I
see good
love Sleepy
cinematography,
Hollow.
I loved seeing that music video. You also had director Katya Ganfield. Hopefully, I'm saying her name
Hmm.
right. You even had
Yeah,
local crews from Belfast and Goshen who also helped out. And this is also
yeah.
funded by your dedicated and passionate fan base. I mean, what more can you tell me about this? Because it was a dream come true here for
It
people who
was
didn't
a
see Better Now.
dream.
I watched that
Yeah,
music video over and over and over, and it was like a movie.
yeah. I think for me, it was like, I used to be a competitive horse rider for years, and that's what I did before I did singing. And I remember having to make that decision one day whether or not I was going to pursue my horse riding or pursue my music. Like it was a question my parents had to ask me because at the time I had one day in a week to do my homework. I had like a Wednesday night because I was doing after school tuition, I was doing after school clubs, I was on the sports teams, I was doing my horse riding, and then also trying to fit in my singing, and then singing competitions alongside my horse riding competitions. And my parents were just like, we don't have the time. Like you have
Mm,
to pick a thing, you have to focus on something. So I chose music. And it was always like it was hard to like leave behind the passion of mine that was horse riding. And that's why I feel like getting to do that music video was even more special to me because it just reminds me of my youth, my childhood, like the freedom I had as a child because I always had a horse that I could just like go gallivanting off on. And it was just like a lovely, happy time. And especially where we filmed it, because like that's where I would have taken my horses. The scenes that we filmed in were places I would have tracked my ponies. And it was just like so nice to come back to where it all started at the end of a record that was documenting my life. It just
yeah.
felt like a nice end of a cycle.
I mean, you can still horse ride, right? I
I
mean,
still do. I
yeah.
still do. Yeah. 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 I've picked it back up again now after lockdown.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how
But I
much of
never
a
I never dropped it. But it was always it's an expensive old hobby and I'd never be able to own a horse for a while. I think some people have dreams of like growing up and having children and starting a family, whereas I'm like, I want a miniature dash and a big horse. And
yeah,
like
and
that's
you
my
should do
goal.
that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So like that's always my goal. It's like to make music and to like own a horse is like my dream. So
Yeah,
like I'm just working towards these little things that I like to enjoy.
and I feel like Better Now is just a testament of everything we just talked about. I don't know how much of a nostalgic person are you? Were you able to, did you want to like go around your village and just like revisit places that, I don't know, when was the last time you were there before? Wow, like
I've
we're
been there
here,
quite a
we're
few
shooting.
times, but there's definitely places you can't really visit on foot that we managed to go to on the horses.
Mhm.
Because it's like, you know, those glens, I've been in those glens a million times, but there was definitely places in the glens that I would only ever have taken my horses. I never would have walked on foot. So it was a bit of nostalgia that it was just back to like the good old days, essentially.
Yeah, and then I'm sure like Sir France like was it
Oh my
did
God.
he, I mean he made it easy for you. I would assume it's like, hey, go, did was it like sorts of direction like, hey Janet, go over there, like, can you ride your horse around there? I'm gonna get a shot this way. Was it easy like that? It was simple like that? Or did you just,
He was great for like so many reasons. He's also great because he rides horses.
oh, perfect.
So he was able to get some shots on horses. We had him on a horse with a camera at
Mhm.
sometimes. And it was great because it's like he understands how the animal works. And it was kind of like as simple as, go over there and ride from there. You would tell me my points of where I'm supposed to go to. Like him and Katia, obviously the director,
Mhm.
work together. Um, it's his job to make everything look beautiful. It's Katia's job to tell me where to go and where to be. And I had a horse master as well called Alessandro, who, because these horses they're never ridden. These are like carriage horses.
Yeah.
They hadn't been ridden in a while. It meant that they were spooked quite easily. So we had the horse master to get on them and run the track once before I did it, just in case the horse got scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was all perfect, thankfully.
And yeah, and the whole music video is perfect. So everyone who hasn't seen it yet, I mean, Better Now is it really is a thing of beauty, and I'm glad that it's out there. It really is. Again, it's a representation of who you are. Another music video I want to mention just briefly is Big Wide World. I love the Forrest Gump
Oh
reenactment you
yeah.
did.
Yes.
Do you still have that beard?
Somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere.
That
It's in
that
my like outfits box somewhere.
that was one of the movies I grew up with, and I'm like, this is genius. I'm so glad she did this.
Dude,
Um,
I watched it 3 times in rehab. That's why I was like, I have to turn this into art somehow. The fact that this fucking rehab has made me watch this. I loved Forrest Gump. I loved it. Now I can't watch it ever again. You
wait,
cannot
why
watch
not?
Forrest Gump. You can't watch Forrest Gump 3 times in a row. You can't.
I think I watched it
It's
twice in a
like,
row. But it was like on HBO one time, and I was like sick one
yeah.
day, and it was just.
Oh, dude, it
I
was
find
like,
myself quoting that so much. I'm sure you quote it just randomly, not
yeah,
like
yeah,
life is like a box of chocolates, and it was just. I love how
yeah.
you said, what is it? What did you say? I think I'm pretty
I think
tired.
I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now.
It was so perfect. So
Dude,
another music video to check out for anyone who hasn't yet. We're gonna add
yeah, definitely.
now something else I want to mention is the production. In I know with Confessional you work with producer Jonathan Cornby. Did you go
Mhm.
the same time, the same route this time around with the new EP?
No, I've got Graham Please, who's producing the EP.
Okay.
Which he produced all my other stuff. Like he produced my first record, he produced all my EPs.
So I'm
There's
sure
maybe
there's
like a single here or there that he hasn't done, but like apart from the Confessional record, he's the producer I use the most.
oh, that's perfect. And I'm sure there's a sense of comfortability in the studio for you, knowing that you had someone like him working on this EP, right?
Oh, dude, he makes my voice sound so nice. Like I love his work. I'm such a fan of his work.
And between writing and structuring the songs and the production process, Janet, I'm hoping you can shed some light on this, because the lyricism within Place Called Home, I feel like we kind of briefly talked about it, but this song is about, really, it's about feeling of wanting too much to find the home that everyone deserves, but the lost feeling of trying to find it. And I feel like at a time like today, I feel like it would relate to a lot of people. And it's the same thing with Confessional, and I begin to think if there is something tangible, like a theme to this upcoming EP, or isn't there? Just
Nope.
no.
That's the whole point. It's not that deep. That's the theme.
So
It just
we're barely just scratching the surface here with this new single. Is that right?
yeah, I mean there's much more to come. I think every song that's going on the EP is its own thing, you know,
Okay.
is its own piece of work. And like that's what's exciting about it. You know, after working on a project like Confessional where everything has to be intertwined and tangible, like it's nice to not have to make everything make sense for once.
Do you
You know,
see? Yeah. No, go
it's
ahead.
yeah, it's
Finish
just
up. Yeah.
it's just an opportunity just to be free, just to like do whatever I want.
So would it be safe to say that you see this new EP, even Confessional, as these albums as snapshots of where you are in a certain time in your life looking back?
I think the EP in itself is pretty representative of where I am in my life right now, where everything is not that deep. I do what I want for right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. From the different experiences and perspectives in your timeline that you have taken in, which we have discussed about, from your upbringings to, we didn't even talk about this, the X Factor appearance, to touring,
Hmm.
your relationship with your bandmates and beyond, being an ambassador for mental health and your growing fan base, like I mentioned, while having 3 full-length albums and an autobiography under your, I think it's a decorated arsenal of material you have. Even your a recent, what is it, Stagey Award that you got for Female Artist of the
Oh
Year.
yeah.
That I love that you had that. Janet, what is the most rewarding part for someone like you who is now at this point in their career, at the same time has been
uh,
involved with so many other different, aforementioned talented artists, organizations, people throughout
mm.
that timeline? You've experienced so much already, even at a young age. Do you ever just stop for a moment and just
Well,
exhale?
I think that's the most rewarding thing for me because I know some people have like all these accolades and things that they're really proud of and stuff, and that's amazing for them. But mine is literally the fact that I'm able to wake up every day and this is my job.
Yeah.
Like I get to make music and make content for my job. and like that's enough for me. Like the fact that that's what I'm doing, amazing.
Yeah, you know what's also amazing is the fact that I was able to keep my composure while not being distracted by the amazing weather around you. I mentioned the X Factor. Uh, have you ever gone back and watched those clips of yourself performing?
No. Sometimes people make me, like for the documentary I'm filming at the moment, I was made watch
Mm,
back my audition. Like, but otherwise I don't watch it back because I was in such a bad place at the time. Like it wasn't because of
yeah.
the X Factor,
No, no,
just like
yeah.
emotionally at that point in my life, I was in a really rough spot, like with my depression and all that kind of stuff. So watching back those clips, as joyous as it is to watch young me, like overcoming whatever I was overcoming at the time. It's really hard to watch because like part of me is like, oh, this feels like the Hunger Games. I don't like it.
Hey, but you did it. And man, you had documentary. Look at that. You just adding on to, I feel like it's just adding on
Yeah.
to your legacy. It's a good thing. I love that you're doing this. And it's here's the thing. I that's the last thing that I like to do, like go back and watch myself or hear myself talk. It's just
Yeah. No thanks.
but I
No
mean
thanks.
I think it really shows your growth from where you started to where you are now. Now before I let you go, I think we have some time for that fun segment I wanted to talk about. I think you'll like it. So what we're gonna do,
Okay.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do something called the lightning round. So
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just say one or the other, and you just pick one. You
Okay.
don't even have to think. You know, it's some of them are silly, some of them are kind of fun. All right, but
Okay. Yeah.
all right,
Sweet.
you ready? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I put a good list together here. Red or blue?
Blue.
Vegan or meat?
Oh, vegan, I think.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Tinder or Bumble?
Tinder.
Round or square?
Rhymes.
Irish food or American food?
Ooh, Irish food. That was
Okay,
tough.
now that's all right. Well, I'll ask you this again whenever you come to the States.
I say I love American food, but I only answered that question literally because I'm like, if I say anything but Irish, the Irish people will get mad at me. So,
What's your favorite Irish recipe, real quick?
oh, do you know what? It's so stereotypical, and I sound like such a patty, but I love an Irish stew. Oh, just a class Irish stew with beef, class, amazing,
That's
10 out of 10.
and that's traditional. That's a good thing. I
It's
love that.
traditional,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
It's like all the benefits of a soup, but like, oh, just class, yeah.
I'm gonna have to add that now. So see if I can find anything close to that here in Texas. Who knows? All right. Hide and seek or running with scissors?
Running with scissors.
All right. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm not talking about literally. Is this an album?
Yes, yes.
It's either the first two albums. Heavy metal or rap?
Heavy metal.
Yes. Halloween or St. Patrick's Day?
Halloween.
Red Red Hot Chili Peppers or Foo Fighters?
I'm gonna have to say Foo Fighters after all the stuff that's come out about the Chili's.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I'm gonna have to look
Oh,
that up. Would you
yeah.
would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Be able to talk to animals.
Yeah, I was
Hands
waiting. I was like,
down.
that has to because you have obviously your love for horses. All right.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Interview under fire or other publication companies?
Interview under fire.
Awesome.
Imagine I just turn around and say other publications. Jesus Christ.
Janet, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sharing your story. This has been great. I can't wait till you come to the States here. Hopefully we can do this again in person. You know, I miss, doing
Yeah.
interviews in person. Hopefully you can get a show booked here in Dallas or even in Austin for that matter.
Dude,
Do
I would love it. That'd be
yeah,
swell.
it would be awesome. We'll stay in touch on the socials. I'll keep you posted once this episode airs. This has been one of my favorites I've ever done. Do you have any
Amazing.
last words, just any shout outs, anything you'd like to plug or mention as far as your new EP before we finish
Yeah.
this off here?
Yeah, just for people to go away and listen to my stuff would be sick.
New music video coming or even touring. Do you have another tour coming up soon before the end of the year?
Not just yet. Not just nothing ready to announce yet.
All right. Any questions for me or about Texas? Anything?
I'll hit you up whenever I'm on my way to Texas. Don't worry, I'll send you a message.
You have to try Texas barbecue if
I
there's a
will. Oh, trust me, I'm game. I'm game.
That's like the one thing I always tell them. I guess I mean, if you're gonna come to Texas, but go big or go home, right? That's like you have to do that.
Honestly, I would lose some weight before I went, so then I could just put it all on.
That sounds like the perfect plan. Everyone who's listening, this is Janet Devlin. Please do me a favor, do us a favor. Pick up her new album, Confessional, and if you can, check out My Confessional. Her new EP, It's Not That Deep, is coming out soon. Stay on the lookout. You can listen to this podcast on all major podcast streams out there. Check us out on interviewunderfire.com. Check out janetdevlin.com. Check out everything about all who she is, because it's even though it's not that deep, there's a lot more than what's on the surface. All right, that's a good metaphor I'll put out there for you. Janet, stay safe out there. Have a great day, have a great week, have a great time with this EP. You know, you are doing something amazing out there in the UK, and keep riding those horses. All right, and
will do.
I will talk to you soon.
Awesome. Cheers, dude.
All right, great talking to you.
All right, you
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.
Always loved to travel, the sound of marching gravel beneath my boots. I know I'm hard to handle, and my temperament is fragile, my excuse. Sweetheart, there's only so far I can run. Feels like I'm lost wherever I roam. I've been looking for.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.